Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today the Houston Texans have brought back another one of their former players to the coaching staff. The Houston Texans are hiring Jonathan Joesph, cornerback that played for the Houston Texans for 9 seasons and was a two-time Pro Bowler. Only went to two Pro Bowls in his whole career, and both of them were in Houston. Had some great years in Houston. You know, a lot of fans know him as J. Joe. He was unbelievable here. And today the Houston Texans added in a lot of new people to the coaching staff. I'm not sure really, because this is a weird time to add in coaching staff. It's July, training camp's about to start, but I think this is like an extra coaching staff for training camp. I'm pretty sure is what I read, but I really do love this. This is somebody. As soon as DeMeco Ryans was brought into the Houston Texans, I said to myself, all right, we got to hire Jonathan Joesph. Honestly, in my opinion, it didn't really matter who we hired. I still think Jonathan Joesph was a guy we probably should have hired to the coaching staff probably way before this. Jonathan Joesph, he's a guy, any Texans fan who knows Jonathan Joesph and knows anything about him, it's no surprise that Jonathan Joesph is going to get into coaching. He's the perfect example to be a coach. I'm going to look at, something that Jonathan Joesph did when he came to Houston. And one of the reasons I love him coming here is because it's like literally the same situation with Kareem Jackson when he came here, but with Derek Stingley Jr. Literally the only difference now is that Jonathan Joesph is not a player, he is a coach. When Jonathan Joesph signed with the Houston Texans, which I got to say, in my opinion, I think the Jonathan Joesph signing was probably the best, in my opinion, was probably the best signing in Texans history. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. He joined the Texans in 2011, and when he joined the Texans, he was coming to the Texans that had a second-year Kareem Jackson. And Kareem Jackson, who was the Texans' first-round pick the year before, struggled in his rookie year. And Jonathan Joesph was just a great player, next to Kareem Jackson, was a great mentor. And you saw Kareem Jackson just starting to, play crazy after that. Had a great second year. Had a great, from 2011 through 2016, 2017, however long he was on the Texans before he left the Broncos. And even after he left the Texans and played the Broncos, he's been a great player ever since he left. And now Kareem Jackson's gotten a little older because he's been in the league since like 2010, 2011, but he was a great player for the Texans as well. And I believe that part of him being a great player has a little bit to do with Jonathan Joesph, because he came into this organization and was a big part of, being a mentor to Kareem Jackson. And now that he is on the coaching staff, or, as an additional coaching staff for training camp, that's what I've read that it is, that I think he could be a really good, not only just to Derek Stingley Jr., just, a good mentor to all the DBs. Stingley, Petrie, all the defensive backs, all of the, corners. I think he could be a great mentor for everybody in the backfield. You got, the only guy you really can't be a mentor for is Jimmy Ward, because, he's really been there, forever. What's Jonathan Joesph is, probably... And yeah, I think Jonathan Joesph is like 37, 38 years old. Jimmy Ward is not that much far off. I think Jimmy Ward is like 31 or 32. But besides Jimmy Ward, everybody else on that Texans, either, safeties or defensive backs are pretty much, everybody else is pretty much young. But, besides Steven Nelson or Desmond King, Desmond King, and Jimmy Ward, the Texans, safeties and cornerbacks is full of young guys. And I really do love bringing in Jonathan Joesph. He's a guy that should be a really good mentor for the young defensive guys. He's a great person. He's a great, has great football knowledge, and he's a great mentor. I want to go over some of his stats in Houston. Played 9 years in Houston, played 133 games with 120 game starts, had 17 interceptions over those 9 seasons. Which returned those 17 interceptions for 410 yards, 4 touchdown, 4 pick sixes as well. And his longest was 82. And even one of those pick sixes was a game-winning touchdown, a game-winning pick six. It was against Buffalo, and I think it was 2018. It was when the Texans, 2018, when the Texans went on that huge, it was the huge winning streak. What was it? Yeah, it was when we started out 0-3 to start the regular season, and everybody was calling us disappointments. We dropped the week 1 to the Patriots. We lost week 2 to the Titans in a close game, and we lost week 3 to the Giants in an embarrassment, which we should have never lost that game to the Giants in 2018. And then the whole talk was, the Texans are 0-3, they have a good football team, and they're playing horrible football. And then I think we went on to win 8 or 9 straight, and we're looking like one of the best teams in the AFC. But the Texans still managed to get their ass kicked in the wild card. But over that winning streak, Johnathan Joesph, one of his pick sixes of his career was over that winning streak, and it was a game winner. So that was one of his 4 touchdowns for an interception. And then he had 118 passes deflected. He had 5 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, returned those for 73 yards. The funny thing is 9 years in Houston had 0 sacks, but that's because he's a corner. 482 combined tackles with how many tackles for a loss? Only 8 tackles for a loss, which again is because he's a cornerback, and 1 QB hit in his 9 years in Houston. And was a great mentor in Houston in his 9 years. And was in the NFL for 9 years in Houston, 5 years in Cincinnati, 1 year in Arizona, 1 year in Tennessee. So was in the NFL for 16 years was in the NFL. So, actually, never mind, because 2020 he played for both the Titans and the Cardinals. So he was in the NFL for 14 years. Never mind. So 2020 he played with 2 teams. So I love bringing him in. I just think how much is he involved is just my question. Because I don't think he's a part of the official coaching staff, but I have a deep feeling right now he's not a part of the official coaching staff. But I would pretty much bet anything that next year, when it comes to the Texans hiring, some maybe new people to their coaching staff, Johnathan Joesph will be a part of that new coaching staff next year. I don't expect the coaching staff to change a lot next season. The coaching staff this year was pretty much a clean house. But next year it's going to be pretty different because I think the Texans are going to be solid. But maybe there could be a couple coaches that could get fired or could leave elsewhere. So there could be a spot open for Johnathan Joesph next year. And I do expect Johnathan Joesph to join the Texans coaching staff after next season. But that is just my intuition. But that's just what I'm thinking. But user thoughts. I love this addition for the Texans, and he should be great, on the coaching staff with his former teammate, head coach D'Amico Ryans. You guys have your thoughts on the addition for the Texans, bringing in one of their former own, Johnathan Joesph, and peace out. Go Texans.